recreation direction or not, you know. Maybe Bill can tell us about, you know, what he thinks, you know, the role and responsibility of, you know, his department and our committee is on an issue of this sort. Is it out of our bailiwick or not? But on an alderman and council member level, I have a definite opinion. So first, anything to say about it?
The parks offer opportunities for all of our residents. There's no question about that. And a lot of the history in parks, in our community, in many communities, are that in many cases that's a place for recreation, particularly for people that don't have a lot of other financial resources, other lands, or things like that. There's also specialized activities that go on in parks, facilities that are available for people to go and use. And then rules come with parks, and the rules are to allow those who are using the facility towards the ends that they were, you know, desired, that the most can enjoy themselves as much as possible, not to the, you know, detriment of a few on the other end. Rulemaking has always involved the Park and Recreation Committee. And I guess a number of our rules, I guess I can't think of many rules that have come down that weren't, you know, state statutes or other general community-wide rules that didn't involve the Park and Recreation Committee. And we've got a hybrid, a specialty type park here in our downtown area. You know, there was determined should it be a park, should it not be a park. Well, part of the reason that it was made a park and not general public lands is that it's not legal to drink on general public lands. So alcohol is allowed in parks. So now the question is how much alcohol is appropriate. But it's in our downtown area. It's kind of the focal point of our community at this time. Most any TV station you turn on, it's part of their evening broadcast. You know, the live eye on the square. You know, what happens there reflects very directly on our community. And I think you're going to be seeing that in the next few years expanding to other parks in our downtown area. So whatever happens here isn't going to be just the 400 block. It's probably going to need to be taken to other you know, broad use specialized public areas in our downtown. And I think I wouldn't just think about alcohol. I would think about other general types of behavior, whether it's pets, whether it's smoking, whether it's language, because these areas are going to be quite intensively used.
You know, we have statutes on the books, you know, for much of the behavior that's being, you know, brought up as, you know, the legitimate reasons for, you know, the proposed, you know, ban or bans, either of the two options. There are statutes on the books. They're enforceable. And what we're doing, perhaps, is creating something that's going beyond what's already there in an effort to solve something that is really exhibited by a small number of people, you know, that we all have to now knuckle down to. Whereas if enforcement, you know, were there on the things on the books to a greater degree, perhaps we could have a better, you know, impact on the perceived problem. I mean, that's it. I mean, we have statute against public intoxication. People are arrested for that. So there you go. The main complaint we have from the 400 block is public intoxication and behaviors associated with it. Some pretty nasty behaviors too, which also are in the books as enforceable, you know, criminal behavior. So is it a question of, you know, do we need to restrict, you know, people's privileges, if you will, in the parks, because we're having a hard time enforcing enforcing against the few that abuse the privilege?
I think we can have Matt Barnes fill us in on the police department perspective on this, but the problem, and I've talked to Terry Alfonso about this too, is that you got a situation where anything, if we want to hit them with the park suspension thing, we have to witness an action. If we want to hit them with the public intoxication, we have to witness signs of intoxication and impairment. If we want to hit them with disorderly conduct, we need to witness that. And so what I'm hearing from the police department is that there just aren't enough hours in the day to go down and witness all that stuff.
Well, I think that, and I know I've met with you, Pat. We sat down there for an hour, Ben Blimmen and myself, and I spent some time on the phone talking about this topic with Tom. And I can't tell you that I know what the right thing for Wausau is. All you folks were elected to come up with a policy, and the police department's happy to enforce whatever policy you come up with. What I can tell you is that I would respectfully disagree with you, Tom, that we have all the statutes on the books that we need. So what we're talking about are ordinances that are enforced with citations issued by our CSOs and our officers, which, to be honest with you, for these individuals aren't worth the paper that they're written on. They don't pay the tickets. They don't care if you say, well, I'm going to write you 2 tickets. They're like, why don't you write me 3? Because they absolutely don't care, because our community, for a good reason, the fact that we'd have to tax everyone really heavily just to support the cost the jail would bill you to arrest these people on warrants, we're not willing to do that. So it's one of these things you can tell your kids. I have teenage boys, so I can tell them, if you do this, this is going to happen. And if they do it and I install that punishment and then their mom overturns me and says, never mind, you can go out anyway, that's kind of the vibe of what's going on down there. I will tell you that the average good citizen that's offended by the behaviors that they see doesn't want to be a witness. They don't want to put their name on a statement. They don't want to come to court potentially to testify against this behavior weeks, months later to get subpoenaed by our city attorney's office to deal with this issue. So those are the challenges that we face, and we don't have staff to put down there at all times of the day. And I'm not sure the 400 block really the message we want to send is, what a great area Wausau has. Look, we need to have law enforcement staffing it all the time because of these problems. And last but not least, our ordinances for public intoxication we have to be very careful with, because I can tell you, we could, if all we're looking for is signs of impairment, intoxicated individuals, I'm going to write a lot of very well employed, having a good time individuals every Wednesday night. That same citation that we would issue to the element that we're here talking about is regards to all day long drinkers, because there's lots of people that let her snap on Wednesday nights on our downtown or during our events, and those people are, at the end of the day, if we're writing people tickets for being intoxicated in public, we need to write everyone that's intoxicated in public down there a ticket, not just that element. And we have individuals that sit down there drinking all day. They do that because we allow it. Those individuals behave in manners that I would find offensive, most of you would find offensive, and the best way I can describe it is if you're sitting there with your buddies drinking 40-ounce malt liquor, and you're halfway through the day and you're well on your way, and here comes the mom pushing a stroller by, and this individual decides to look at her in a fashion of, I don't whistle very well, sorry, looks her up and down. That mom is offended by that behavior. Unfortunately, the Constitution does not allow me to write a ticket for what that person's thinking and what they insinuated. So that's a behavior. We have people that tell us, I got propositioned. They told me how attractive I looked as they looked me up and down. And I thought, show me the statute that says that that's illegal for an intoxicated person to address how attractive you are. So those are the types of behaviors that we're seeing where they're not a violation.
Captain, the thing that bothers me about that argument, and I acknowledge the validity of these certain individuals that will do that under the influence of alcohol, is that it could also be people who are drinking Diet Pepsis and Mountain Dews, but it might be a little screwy upstairs, and their social behaviors can also be off-putting and unusual and just bothersome. I tell you, I walk down there a lot, and I'm sure you do in a lot of street. And I walk down there with my head on a swivel, trying to watch everybody and what's going on. And I'll see, 20 people lined up on the tables, and I'm just going, Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Diet Pepsi, beer, Diet, and that's the way it is. These are a group of people that there's very little observable alcohol. And I see two guys sitting at a table, and they've got their big tall boys, But I've seen the behavior from any of those people, turning and looking and saying stuff,
Sure.
and they're hopped up on Mountain Dew.
You are absolutely 100% correct that from my communication with the different business owners down there and individuals, that there is a belief, I think, frequently that some of the individuals who, to be honest with you, I recognize them, they suffer from mental illness. They live in the greater downtown area in the large building immediately to the west of there, and their day is spent on the 400 block, and it's an all-day meeting for them, and they're not drinking. But I would tell you that there are also individuals that are. I don't have a solution for you other to say that all complaints don't go away with the mentally ill individuals or the individuals that congregate there all day, but they stay conscious the whole day. So it's a component to this overall problem, but there are still going to be issues to be addressed if there's a desire to not have that behavior done.
I wasn't at the last concerts where out of town the week before we were down there, and ambulance came down because there was a gentleman sitting essentially across the street from Malarkey's that day, end of the block, right near the curb and by one of the tables, and he was just unresponsive. And officers were there, and hand on his shoulder, trying to nothing. The guy was out. I would imagine, 99% sure, he was publicly intoxicated. In that instance, does that person issue a citation and a ban from the park?
I can't speak to that particular incident because I don't know the answer to it. I think that the statute would allow us for a person who's incapacitated to a level that we can't get him to be conscious or function. I think when you look at the public intoxication ordinance, it requires the person to be not just intoxicated or impaired, but
Public nuisance.
yeah, public nuisance and incapacitated. So,
I've read the ordinance, and those are two different things.
very different.
No, you can be picked up, arrested, taken downtown, or driven home, depending on the situation, merely for stumbling down the sidewalk.
I would disagree with that unless
Unless there's.
our ordinance says and public nuisance. You have to be either intoxicated or incapacitated and creating a public nuisance.
Is that your understanding?
Yeah.
Look it up, please.
Our officers, to be honest with you, function under the concept of, because we're really careful not to create a criteria that allows us to start writing citations like crazy on a Wednesday night. So really, there's complete and total incapacitation, which we have statutory definitions for what that are. Those individuals go to the hospital and to the healthcare center. And then we have intoxicated individuals who are creating a disturbance or a nuisance. And what is the level of nuisance or disturbance? And we use some statutory definitions of what disorderly conduct is. It's a tough one because you've been down on Wednesday nights. It's fantastic down there. I like it there, but I can go stand in the middle of that crowd and show you lots of people that make more money than me every year that drove in a more expensive vehicle, and they just drank one too many beers and they're dropping F-bombs and somebody's offended by what they're doing. And we're really careful not to go down there and be the 400 block police, because that's not the image we want either. So trying to find this right solution to it, and I would go so far as to say, Ben Bliven told Pat this story. He said the first time his wife took his two kids, they had a dentist appointment, they stopped at Herbert's and Gerbert's, got 2 subs, went to the 400 block. She was so put off by the individuals that were drinking that she has never brought them back in several years. So there's the idea of who are we going to lose if you pass this, but who are you going to bring back? And last but not least, while we were down there, a couple hundred people probably stepped foot on the 400 block in that period of time with all the people coming back and forth and those people using it. And there were 2 people drinking. So we're talking about 1% of the population that's being disenfranchised. And let's not kid ourselves, we're going to disenfranchise someone no matter what decision's made. I think that's the minority, and I think there's other options for us. And my final point to everybody is, whatever you decide, again, I'm sharing with you some of my opinions, my thoughts. Police department's here to do the best we can with what we have, with whatever decision. But we also recognize, really, to your point, is this is step one, because as we look to what are our challenges in the future over the next couple of years, I really expect that we're going to be back here again, and we're going to be talking about the gazebo and the island and the trails and everything along the riverfront, which is also a very popular area with individuals consuming copious quantities of alcohol on a daily basis. So I agree that that's a component to any decisions that are made, and really what's the image and what's necessary for this downtown to grow and be vibrant.
I would propose, and I'll probably bring it up tomorrow, is just that we, we're halfway through the summer. This is not a fall, winter, spring issue, this is a summer issue. It deserves attention, it deserves creative thinking, it deserves our best effort at solution. I don't think it deserves, do it now, halfway through the summer, and let's get this done. I think that is not the way to approach this. I think we take our time, we take the off season, and we do something right, creative, with the cooperation of downtown business, perhaps. Find a way to develop a solution that way rather than attack it right now immediately in a statutory way. So that's kind of.
I've wrestled with this too a lot, and I kept thinking I was throwing out ideas as we sat on the block, and
I felt like I shut them all down, Pat. I'm really sorry.
And it was a process of throwing things at the wall and see what was going to stick. But there are other communities who are dealing with this sort of thing, and they have their approaches. The situation right now is that the proposal coming before the council tomorrow is to ban alcohol consumption except during special events. That came in as, how about if we ban it after 4 p.m. daily? And I wanted to amend it to after 4 p.m. daily on weekdays that are not also holidays. That didn't get a lot of traction. But what got traction was they just kept going with the ban idea and said, let's, ban it for anything other than an event that has been issued a city permit. So that's what we're going to have tomorrow. And I think that along the lines of what you said, perhaps a recommendation from us to have a subcommittee look at it or something like that.
Respectfully, Mr. Chairman, it's done. It is necessary to take action on this, such as what is going to happen tomorrow, because as the representative of this block and the residents that live in and around there, they are asking me that this change be made. And I've witnessed the behavior myself many times because I work in and around the area. And I've called on the police chief to respond to these individuals, and they have made opportunities to. But it's a front and center location that is far different from the gazebo area where it's hidden away. And if they can go there and partake as they have been, it's out of sight. But this premier park, with all of its amenities and the people who have invested into that to see areas disgraced and abused, it just is an affront to those who visited and who have encouraged its development. And I think that we need to act now, not committee and wait it out. This has to take place immediately. That's the opinion of the person who represents this area.
Other opinions?
Even if we passed it tomorrow night, it doesn't go into effect right away, if I remember correctly. Is that fair to say?
Well, no,
It's gotta be published.
It's
It'd be
Marion
published within
publishes them
days.
right away, and it's effective the next day. And
on the behavior.
Well, I'm just,
Mary publishes things pretty quickly, so I
but it won't affect Wednesday night. I don't know.
Well, it wouldn't be a factor on Wednesday nights because those are approved events.
special events.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we also have to look at, and Tara, maybe you could, clarify it, and we're running out of time, but, the term special event on our books and how that relates to alcohol, starts bringing into question things like offenses and designated entry and exit points and whatnot. Is there anything, a bump that we run into?
The way the ordinance draft was written is any special event that's approved by the Public Health and Safety Committee, or Tony approves as at level 1.
One or three.
Yeah, she approves one of them that are more smaller
wedding or
events like
something like that.
weddings and things like that. There's no need for a fence or anything like that. I think you're thinking of the picnic license sort of temporary thing, which is a little bit different. We require enclosures for picnic licenses, which are the temporary one-day events.
That's for the sale.
That's a sale.
In the state, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, that's good.
Come on. Wow.
Wow.
We have a motion to make any sort of recommendation to the council, or we're just gonna go as council members to the
I believe we're not going to,
Pardon?
as individual council members. I think it's good that we as a committee were able to have a discussion where we can, get some of the ideas out there, and like kind of streamline tomorrow night's discussion.
Very good. Anything else on that? We can, we are going to be running into HR, and I'm wondering if they can meet someplace else, or,
And I'm on HR.
I'm on HR.
we're gonna lose two of you.
I'm on HR.
Okay.
Is there a meeting scheduled?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Masterpiece of plan.
I'm sure, there's other roofs in the building and stuff.
Okay, should we take our 3 people and move elsewhere, or send them elsewhere, or? Bill, what's your guidance as
There's
far
no
as-
actual items left on the agenda. And since it's basically educational things, and the recreation report was included in the agenda, so
We got nothing new on the agenda.
no, put it on there just because we wanted to have it, but there's nothing real action or reportable.
Okay.
You've seen the East River development stuff already.
Which one changed that, right?
Right. And on the storm report, I don't know, just briefly, if you might want to tell us how many trees went and how long the impacts of the storm are actually going to be with us.
I sent Bill an email back in the middle of June on that June 5th storm, just to keep him updated. Once the branches clear the sidewalks and the streets and that, everything looks good. But it's going to be in essence a summer-wide, even in fall, we got all the stumps cleaned up. I still haven't been to all the locations that were impacted. I've got lists of recommendations, but trees that were damaged, I gotta go back and assess them. Where I saw you the night of that storm on Fairmount, I got there today and made a record that that was a tree that was chipped over, it was an ash and a certain size, and just picking away. I got calls coming in, so we lost a dozen more city park trees, almost 50 in Marathon Park. We've started some stump grinding in there.
50 in Marathon Park?
Almost. There'll be a few more we find that have some splits and cracks that we haven't identified yet. That initial was close to 50. I don't know how many street trees. I've marked almost 100. I've been to 100 locations where we've either marked them or they were gone. I'm still finding people call me saying, "When's my son coming out?" They cleaned it up, and I was like, "What address?" And I'm writing it down because I didn't know it was a tree gone because it's cleaned up. So probably well over 100 street trees, and about 50 so far. very few of those that had any stump grinding. We've got a few that were so upward, we go right to grab them, equipment, and kind of build stumps. It's a slow process of getting so many calls, and there are a lot of stuff I never would ask for, so that's taking up a lot of my time. And other calls from homeowners on just routine stuff, so this storm is gonna be, to completely finish, it's gonna be, a long process. Still got a bunch to take down, still finding hangers in trees, so.
Yeah, there's trees that were damaged by the storm, and that damage will show up in the next, actually 2-3 years. And finally, time to take limbs out as they fail, or develop insect or disease issues. So, storms like these go a long time. There's a big effort, our crews, DPW, hit it hard. The initial cleanup was quick, but we got a hang of it.
We had 50 trees that we had taken down from November, December, January, and I called all those informators hotline, you can stump down, because people were calling saying, took it down last winter, when's it gonna get taken out? We got about a dozen of those down and cleaned up, storm hit. I had to recall all those other, almost 40 in, because utilities are no longer valid. Those were good as of today, and we'll start grinding and cleaning those up.